Good Wednesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith on a glorious Wednesday morning. Thank you kindly for joining us. Our audience is Charlottesville-wide, Central Virginia, Commonwealth country, and worldwide on the I Love CVille Network, a network that is dynamic and welcoming of your perspective, your thoughts, and your ideas. Put them in the feed. We relay them live on air. Folks, this show presented by Keller Williams Alliance and yes, Realty Partners. In fact, if you look at the screen right now, you will see the trusted partners in real estate that you can undoubtedly count on to get you to the closing table and navigating one of the most difficult processes in life, and that's buying and selling real estate. Judah Woodcower is the director. We give him props as much as we can. Hopefully we will see his mug on screen today.
His gorgeous face.
And hear his perspective on the show today. Judah, if you could go to the studio camera, and let's welcome the distinguished gentleman to the program, Keith Smith. Good morning.
Good morning, Jerry. It's your week a little off with that whole Monday off thing? Today feels more like a Tuesday than a Wednesday, and I've been trying to get my mojo kind of moving along today. Don't know what that is, but my mojo's a little slow this morning.
Well, we like having you here. We got a lot to cover. Bill Vincenzi, welcome to the program.
Hey, Bill.
I see a boatload of agents on the show right now.
So,
where do you want to begin, my friend?
Yeah, so what I love about today and what we're going to do today, we have a little bit, not too much on the agenda, so we're going to kind of jump right in and see what's going on out there in the marketplace. But I want to kick off a little bit. You did a really great job covering the Bank of America thing, so why don't you set that up, and then we'll kind of jump into that a little bit.
Well, Judah, you and I can set that up. If you want to bring in a three-shot over there. This has been the toast of the network for, what would you say, since Friday? Did we bring it up Friday, J-Dubs? I believe it was Friday. It could have been Thursday. John Blair, welcome to the program. We'll set the stage. Bank of America, 5 select cities, offering a lending program that's geared toward Hispanic and African American buyers, a program that requires no down payment and really does not focus or prioritize credit score. Credit score is not needed. The trepidation both Judah and I had was, what happens if the market turns? What happens if the roof leaks? What happens if appliances get broken? If you're unable to afford even a 1% down payment on a $300,000 house, that's $3,000. Last I checked, an HVAC unit costs more than that, and last I checked, a roof costs more than that. The concern I have is this program is being released and announced at a time when mortgage demand has frankly come to an utter halt.
Well, that's the reason it came out.
Oh, no doubt. It's not a coincidence. We talked about that yesterday on the show.
Rocket also mortgage, which we're not a fan of online mortgages at all on the show. It's also announced a similar program, and you're going to start seeing...
We heard that. You hear that, Judah? We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, so you're going to start seeing this creep its way into the marketplace. And when I read the article, I literally got a chill up my back.
I did the same. We posted on the my personal Facebook page, and it went viral.
Yeah, so one can understand the why on it, but it was funny. I actually had a sleepless night thinking about this last night because this really, really concerns me, and it concerns me deeply because it's interesting. You put a nail on the head. What happens if your HVAC system goes out?
What is the nail on the head?
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay. We hit the nail on the head. Neil Williamson, welcome to the program.
We
hit the nail on the head.
1 minute.
We hit the nail on the head.
1 minute.
I was uncertain on that. If you have any kind of repair whatsoever and you can't put a down payment on the house, how do you make the repair?
So I have this conflict as the chair of the Piedmont Community Land Trust, right? And we've had an excellent 12 months. We put 24 families in homes. They're averaging somewhere around the 50 to 60 percent the area median income on it. But what happens when you start going lower than that? And something happens in the house. I mean, you're looking for an HVAC system in a normal house, $8-10 grand.
Easily.
$8-10 grand.
If you can even get it done.
If you can get it done. So what happens then, right? Or simple thing about having to paint the house every few years, right?
What happens if the real estate values drop?
Well, if the
One of the cities is Detroit.
yeah.
Okay, it's freaking Detroit.
Yeah.
It's a ghost town.
Yeah.
There's the auto industry is leaving. Detroit's economy is not strong.
It's
It's a shanty town.
It's not Charlottesville, that's for
Okay,
sure.
what happens if the values drop?
Yeah, so in theory, right, when the values drop, at least their mortgage payment is there, and they'll have to stay in the home and stay on a little bit longer instead of 5 or 7 years or 10 years as well, which is the now a norm. I think it's 9 years with NAR.
Between 9 and 10.
Yeah, on that end of it. So they just stay in the home a little bit longer. Our economy can turn around and do that. But, we're huge homeowner advocates. Obviously, this is what we do. This is why I volunteer so much of my time. It's why I'm going to get an award today up in D.C. about homeowner advocate. But I'm going to say something that is going to get me into a little bit of trouble. Not everybody is at a certain point in their life that they can own
Ray
a home.
Cadell says it all the time. Not everyone should be a homeowner.
Yeah, should own a home. So sometimes the best course of action is to rent for a little bit a while, get a little bit of help on trying to build some down payment on it, and then go ahead and get into the market and buy. But it almost sounds predatorial, to be honest with you.
Exact words. And the timing, from my standpoint, could not be worse.
Yeah.
It's released at a time when Bank of America mortgage business has come to a screeching halt. They need incremental revenue to create shareholder value.
So here's a great plug for Ross Mortgage and Scott Morris, right? I consider Bank of America, Rocket Mortgage, and I tend to say things that may get me into trouble here, but that's why you want to use a local trusted advisor. When you can sit down with Scott and look at Scott, or sit down with one of our teams, or any of the trusted real estate agents that are watching the show or listening to the show, and actually have this one-on-one conversation with you. Say, okay, look, you can get in this, but do you have any additional money? Because what's going to happen, homeownership comes with responsibilities, right? Cut grass, pay, paint, your roof leaks, plumbing leaks, all these different things.
6 months ago, our hot water tank busted, flooded our basement. We had to come in, we had to hire a crew to clean up the flooded basement, and then we had to put a tankless water heater in. Total project costs $6,000 to $7,000.
I was about to say, $5,000 to $6,000.
Literally.
Yeah.
Now we upgraded. We went to tankless from an original hot water heater.
And that's a smart move. You're in it. That's a super smart move to go ahead and do that. Now there are things that are helpful. There's tools. There's home warranty programs that will cost you anywhere between $600-800 a year, so that if your hot water tank went, that they actually would replace that.
Okay, just being straight shooter here. A home warranty program costs money.
It's $800 a year.
There's no down payment on the house.
I understand that.
So if there's no down payment on the house, where's the additional revenue going to come for an $800 home warranty?
Well, yeah, so they also can make a financial decision. Okay, I'm not going to put anything into my house and keep some cash aside, right? And if that's why you have a conversation with Scott. That's why you have a conversation with a trusted advisor, one of the real estate agents that are listening and watching the show.
Logan Foster on the feed, Mass Realty on the feed,
Absolutely.
Real Estate 3 on the feed.
Absolutely. So if everybody thinks all we do is care about the contract and care about closing, that is not the case, right? So we sit down, and sometimes, agents will counsel, maybe this is not the time to go ahead and do this. Look, you're going to be buying a home.
How many agents would do that?
Every agent that I work with would do that. They really would. They would really do that. They would sit down, because it's good relationship building business. If I go ahead and am honest with you, and go ahead and be open and forthright and set expectations for you, and 6 months down the line you have a problem, who's the first person you're going to call?
Didn't we just come through a 2-year period of time when home inspections and appraisals were bypassed, where folks were bringing cash to the table like we've never seen before to make up appraisal gaps?
But that's what we're talking about right now.
I know, but I'm saying, we just had that period of time, did we not?
And more shivers up my back.
Okay, because that literally happened for 2 years.
It happened for 2 years, absolutely. It happened for 2 years. And everybody that was...
70% of the buyers who purchased in the second year of COVID regret their purchase.
Absolutely.
That's according to National Association of Realtors.
And the people that moved out of the center are starting to regret that also and come back. I don't have the actual stats. Some of the stuff we're going to learn when we're up in D.C. But yeah, look, the one thing I know about this business, because I've been doing it for 35 years, what we're talking about right now is going to be different 12 months from now, right? And what 12 months from now will be different from another 12 months from now. And our job as trusted advisors and professionals is to stay in front of that. And our job is to counsel our clients. From my perspective and our perspective, if we're having a conversation that we really feel that this person is extending themselves, we're going to tell them that. We're going to say, look, I think maybe the timing isn't right for you right now. Let's build a little bit of capital, come back in and go ahead and do this. Because, as I said earlier, 6 months down the line, I'm going to get the phone call. Oh, my God. I didn't know I had to replace my roof. These first-time home buyers, they don't do it. That's why with the land trust program, you're required to go through a first-time home buyer class before you move forward, because they walk in with the expectation that this is what they have to do. It's the greatest thing against inflation, but it also comes with work, right?
And I made the attribution yesterday to parents that want to help children, and a child may not have a vehicle for transportation, and the gift is a 20-plus-year-old vehicle that needs upkeep and maintenance. You get the vehicle, you might be able to get from point A to B faster, but before you know it, that vehicle is going to break down.
Yeah,
it's going to cost money to repair.
Exactly right. And then we did this with our daughters. When Trey gets to that point, son, you need to start saving a little bit of money, because I'm not paying for your oil change, right? I'm not paying for, fixing a flat. I'm not paying for the. I may help you get the vehicle, but the maintenance and putting the fuel in it is however you wish to have that conversation. Great analogy. It's exactly the same thing. When you own a home, it comes. We just had to reseal our driveway. I haven't done it in 20 years. $2,000.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to do it because it was coming to the point, if I didn't do it, I would have had to replace the whole driveway at a tune of whatever.
Keith Smith, is Bank of America setting up folks on the financial margin, a population of Americans historically exploited, for failure?
That's what drove the shiver up.
Is that what's happened?
Without reading the specific details of it,
we should have read the specific details.
Well, we don't know it, right? Because they don't know it. We're not seeing the back of the end underwriting requirements. All we're seeing is what's on the front end of it in the news. I've read that end of it, but we really don't know what's on the back end of their underwriting, because talking about it is one thing.
Interest rate. We don't know what happens when payments are late. We don't know what happens when how quickly repo happens. We don't know how
foreclosure.
Yeah.
Well, we know how quickly it happens.
Well, quickly do we know?
It happens in 31 days in the state of Virginia.
Okay. We don't know what the rate is.
Yeah.
We don't know if that's a floating interest rate. We don't know if that rate's going to adjust when Jay Powell's going to raise the rates in September.
I think you used the word, and I just reused it, the word predatory. It feels predatory. Now, again, we just don't know what the back end of it is, though, Jerry. There may be other requirements that we just don't know about yet, and
when you have no down payment.
But we don't.
I would imagine the interest rate's going to be something that's going to be higher than a 30-year fix. Someone with a 790 credit score that puts 20% down.
That's exactly right.
Would you agree with that?
We just don't know what the back end of it is. On the surface.
But we're common sense people.
On the surface, looking at it right now, that's a challenge. And then the other thing that they set themselves up for. So what do we? I was watching some of your posts, which is great stuff about affordable housing, or as I refer to it, as housing affordability. The definition of it, right? What is the definition of that? So what's in our marketplace, what are you considering that this client that's going to use that program in Virginia, because it's not here, right? What are they going to buy?
Yeah, nothing to buy.
Yeah, so
Detroit, as Bill McChesney just put on the feed, Wild Bill McChesney says some homes are cheaper than a lot of dirt in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
And they have no chance of gaining equity.
Yeah, I don't know the Detroit market, so, to talk about that. But all one needs to do is read the newspaper.
Yeah.
And that funny thing that you get.
The automobile industry is pulling out.
Yeah, it's pulling out. So, look, it's scary to me. It's reminiscent of 2008.
Literally what I said.
2009. And it's interesting. If you go back and look at the history on that actually started in 92. In 1992, actually, very thing we're talking about right now, if you do a little bit of a Google search and take a look at programs that were being released in 92 and 93 and 94 in that area, was exactly what we're talking about right now. And guess what that set up? That set up 2008, 2009 on that end of it. So again, rents are going through the roof. I'm trying to be sympathetic and understanding and open and kind-hearted about this, but not everybody should own a home. And when, I'm not a smart guy, but if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, I'm pretty sure it's a duck.
Explain to me why there's not more outrage at the federal level on the Hill.
Well, so that's the interesting thing, which I don't have information on. When I talk about the back end, we don't know what the regulators are going to do to this, and we also don't know if that's portfolio money. In other words, are they using their own money to lend this out? Is this a program that they're doing? Are they doing a pilot program using their own cash to do this? Or are they working through the Freddie, the Fannie, the conventional?
Because these are subprime mortgages. We realize that.
That's exactly.
These are subprime mortgages.
Yeah.
They're subprime mortgages.
I'm trying to be upbeat today. And that was the third chill up my spine.
No need to be upbeat. We're realists.
Yeah.
Good morning, Dan Pettit.
Yeah. So the bottom line of it is, it's very, if they are using federally backed money, then the regulators are going to be in it. If they're using their own portfolio money, their own cash, then it's their in-house underwriters that could determine what a risky loan is, what not a risky loan is, how they're going to lend it, how they're going to do the rates. And oh, by the way, to your point, when they start using portfolio money or their own money, their interest rates are substantially higher than than the rate.
Bank of America is going to tax these folks on the financial margin at a rate that is not equivalent to what rates we're getting, even with a 5% down payment and decent credit score.
So this event I'm going to tonight is going to be all the major CEOs from the real estate world and the banking world. That's what this event's going to be tonight. And I'm really interested to hear, because I've got a couple of sit downs with Yoon and Dr. Lisa Steravent.
Lawrence Yoon, Keith Smith I'll tag Dr. Yoon here in the feed. He's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. We'll get him in the mix so he can watch you, right?
Yeah.
You got to sit down with him tonight?
No. It's the event tonight. We're actually going to be, I think, the table next to him or something. If you don't think I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with them, you don't know Keith Smith. So, but the reality of it is, I'm really interested to hear what these folks got to say about that, and particularly really smart people like Yoon, right? How does this feel? Does this feel predatory? Does this feel, how are they doing this? And, there'll be people from BOA there, right? CEOs or senior executives from BOA and say, okay, how are you guys going to fund this? Right? My suspicion will be that I'm going to hear this is a test program, we're using our own capital, and we're probably going to make it I bet you it'll be about 2 points over what everybody else is being charged to go ahead and do it. Sounds predatory?
Dude, this is the definition of exploiting unsophisticated folks at a time when Bank of America needs to create shareholder value, at a time when their mortgage department is flat, if not down, with origination of applications.
So we as real estate agents, signed on to and agree to a series of ethics. We have to agree. It's pretty in-depth. To me, it would be unethical to sit down with a client that I feel can't afford to do this, that is setting themselves up for failure, and not to tell them that. So to me, that's a direct violation of our ethics code, right? To be directly honest with them and say, look, and this is what happened in 2008.
Yeah.
In 2009, everybody kind of said, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's give this couple $500,000. And guess what happened? Poof.
Neil Williamson, I'll get to your comment here. Jason Howard, the king of Rio, I'll get to your comment. Juan Sarmiento, que pasa, and welcome to the program, homie.
You asked me in November and December what could...
It's this!
That's exactly right.
It's literally this.
Well, what I actually said was inflation, right? And the recession won't really impact, I think, housing that much on that end of it. And if this really takes hold, that's what's going to hurt us.
And you just heard Keith Smith drop a knowledge bomb there, Judah. Well, welcome to Three Shot in the Mix. Let's get Judah Whitcower in the mix. You heard him say Rocket Mortgage is launching a similar program to start the program? Remember we talked about this yesterday?
Yeah.
We called it the Keeping Up with the Joneses effect.
Right.
Rocket Mortgage now launching a similar program according to Keith Smith. This will spread like wildfire.
Sure.
Mark it down.
Well, it's look, I have a buddy of mine that is a president of a bank. In order for a bank to make money, and you know this number, in order for a bank to make money on a mortgage, what's the spread from what they have to get it from the Fed, Fannie Mac, and what they have to give to the client?
2 points?
It's a 2-point spread. In order for them to make money, it's got to be a 2-point spread. At 3%, at 4%, that was never, they weren't making money off of that, on that end of it. Who knows? Maybe this is their, it just doesn't feel. I'm trying to pull up the article so I can specifically tell you about the Rocket Mortgage.
Please pull it up. I'll read some comments here as he's pulling up that article. Jason Howard, King of Rio Road. Jason Howard, we love you, Jason Howard. He says, I agree, it seems very predatory. However, let me play devil's advocate. Could someone using this program have a lower mortgage than their previous monthly rent and then save the difference to prepare for future repairs? On average, do renters you help find their first home end up paying less in mortgage than their previous monthly rent?
That's a genius statement. We used to call it the latte factor.
Yeah.
Right? The question, the pushback you will give on that, it's much like when we help first-time home buyers close, we say, look, to do 2 extra payments or 3 extra payments, it's having the ability to do that. Right? What's going up? Gas. What's going up? Food. Right? The essentials are going to are going to increase in that end of it, and they're not going to be able to save money to go ahead and do that. If they can do that, if they say, okay, I'm paying I'm picking numbers, $2,000 a month for rent, which by the way we know is going to go up 5%, 6%, 7%, maybe even more than that year over year, and I'm in a mortgage that I'm saving $500, $250, whatever the number is. If they can religiously take that $250 and put it into a maintenance account, great. Then they are doing exactly what needs to be done. But if everything else is climbing up with inflation, right? I went to pick up steaks the other day and I put them back because I said, this is ridiculous. I went to chicken on that end of it. And if that $250 starts getting eaten up on other expenses, they're not going to save that $250, right? And then their roof is going to have a leak. Their HVAC system is
This is a cluster.
Crap out on them.
This is an absolute cluster. And it's happening right now because the business is getting flat. The business is getting flat and they need incremental revenue. They need to create shareholder value and they're looking for new customers. The customers that have the credit and the down payment are choosing to wait on the sidelines. So what they're doing is they're going to the next rung of potential customers.
Yeah. Again, here you go. I just found it, September 2nd.
I'm going to read some more comments as you're finding this article. Neil Williamson, president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Love you, Neil Williamson.
It was a great show on Friday.
Because of their role in the financial crisis, subprime mortgages have a negative connotation. Lenders have begun using the term non-prime mortgage. A non-prime mortgage could be thought of as a new and improved version of the old subprime mortgage. The main difference between the two is that non-prime mortgages are subject to tougher, more responsible underwriting. Judah, let's go to the 3-shot. I know exactly what you're thinking.
Is that kind of like the definition change of recession?
Judah, you know what I'm thinking? The subprime to the non-prime mortgage? You know what that's called?
Go ahead.
Managing perception.
According to
They're
the-
rebranding.
Yeah.
They're rebranding something with negative connotations.
Yeah.
That's managing perception. That's literally what our business is, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting.
That's so dirty.
It's why I love what you and I do, because you come from this from a very different perspective than, because I'm not a brand guy, right? You're a brand person, right? So anyway, Financial Times reported Rocket Mortgage has promised to waive closing costs, appraisals, and refinancing charges on folks. United Wholesale Mortgage is decreasing its interest rates on mortgage. It's just Bank of America when you just talked about it. So that's just 3 bullet points in this particular article. So it's the wholesale mortgage, United Wholesale Mortgage is going to decrease interest rates, and Rocket Mortgage is going to do that. And then the Bank of America, which you've just discussed, in Detroit, Los Angeles, and Miami.
Clint Wilder, welcome to the program. Clint, one of the kings of Keswick, watching the show. Philip Dow, the king of Scottsville. David Varell, the king of the Outer Banks, watching on his boat right now in Nag's Head. Judah Wickhauer.
Is he catching something?
What is on the brain here? I cannot wait to hear your take on this, Judah Wickhauer. You offered some take yesterday. I got incredible feedback from the viewers and listeners about your takes. Jump in here. Anywhere you want to go, J-Dubs.
I'm just as worried as you guys are with everything that we see coming down the pike in the financial world and just economically. This seems like the worst time to ask someone to take on something like this.
Keep going, baby. You're dropping knowledge.
We've talked about what happens when when prices keep going up, when house prices go down. It just seems like this is, speaking of prime, is primed for bad things to happen. I mean, and we say predatory because these are people that can't afford to, they can't afford to have this go wrong.
Yeah. If this goes wrong, this crashes their whole world.
Yeah. What do you do? I mean, if you can get in front of it fast enough, maybe you can sell the place.
Even if they file for bankruptcy, what do?
Yeah. And you're certainly left with what? Not enough to put a first and last on a new rental.
Right.
If you've got to leave the
first,
place.
last, and security.
Yeah.
So
if this goes wrong, they don't have first, last, and security.
Yeah.
If this goes wrong, they can't sell the house.
But gentlemen, we're talking very specific 3 markets, right?
5 markets.
Okay.
Bank of America's rolled this out in 5 markets.
Okay, I'm reading 3 markets, but I'll take 5.
I can give you the 5 if you want.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take your word on it. But our market is not that market, right? So So even when the time of great unpleasantness,
You're very bullish on our market, and I'm
yeah,
somewhat bullish on our market.
no,
Not as bullish as you.
So okay, we define bullish as a 20%, right?
No.
Excuse
In
me,
that
bear.
term, bullish means confidence.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. A bear is to be 20% difference. Certain markets within our area will be 20% down. Some of them will not be 20%
Nelson
down.
County is 50% down.
So
Sold inventory.
Very much so. Yeah.
City of Charlottesville's flirting with 20% down year
Yeah.
over year. Elmore County, 20% down year over year. Greene and Fluvanna are up.
But their price, and every one of the marketplaces, their prices year over year went up. Right?
Yeah. I mean, eventually, and no one's trying to be a negative Nancy on this program. No one is trying to be a negative Nancy. But it does not always stay up. It can you're saying we're going to see balanced appreciation, steady appreciation, instead of elevator appreciation, we'll see escalator appreciation.
I'm not saying it. Yoon is saying it. Some of the other smart people are saying it. I'm just regurgitating it with my own spin on it. I don't. Other than this BOA thing that just came up right now, and this Rocket Mortgage and these other things, my hope was that the lending requirements remained strict, right? So we didn't get ourselves into the slippery slope on top of it. If this catches on across the board, yeah, it's a problem. It's a huge problem because it's, what is deja vu all over again, right? You know, we're going to be back to that situation where people are going to be using their homes as piggy banks. My hope is, and my feeling out in the street, our local market is, people remember a little bit, you know, people remember that, right?
Everyone remembers 2008.
And so I just don't think that's going to go that way. And we're staying away from the one topic. It's just a lack of inventory. We did this before the show, right? I looked at how many units came on 2 months ago versus this in the same 7 days. It was 85 days 2 months ago. It was 85 today. There were 64 that went sold in the same week 2 months ago. It's 94 today. So the pendings are actually higher than they were 2 months ago. Same week, same car footprint. I just think our inventory is it's just not there.
The best thing Charlottesville and Central Virginia have going for itself right now is the fact that there's no inventory on the market. The no inventory on the market is driving...
Well, I wouldn't say no.
Limited inventory.
Yeah, correct.
Limited inventory on the market is driving equity and demand. The 2008, 2009, 2010 poop storm around here, we saw a glut of inventory.
Yep.
That's a huge difference between 2008, 2009, 2010, and right now. There is not a glut of inventory in the market. We still have stricter and more stringent regulatory requirements when it comes to loans. However, yesterday we talked on the show that Bank of America was the pioneer in this program. We just heard today that Rocket Mortgage is doing the same damn thing. How much longer will it take till we see Wells Fargo? How much longer will it take till we see Truist? How much longer will it take till we see Citi, JP Morgan, to roll out the same thing?
Yeah.
Because shareholders will say, hey, I read about this in the news about Bank of America. Why aren't you doing the same thing to create value for my stock as well?
So somebody needs to answer this particular question, and we and maybe somebody on the feed knows this. I sure don't.
Neil
know.
Williamson, get ready for this one.
Where are they getting the cash from?
Neil
Right.
Williamson, Kevin Yancey, Bill McKenzie,
So
Jason Howard.
Where are they getting the cash from? So if they're
The banks.
yeah, is it their own money they're using? Or are they getting
I'm reading something right here that talks about the Emergency Capital Investment Program established.
Federally backed program?
Yeah, under the program, Treasury will provide up to $9 billion in capital directly to depository institutions that are certified community development financial institutions (CDFIs)
CDFIs, yes.
or minority depository institutions (MDIs) to, among other things, provide loans, grants, and forbearance for small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and consumers, especially in low-income and underserved communities that may be
I can talk
disproportionately
about-
impacted by the economic effects of the COVID-19
7
pandemic.
states on the feed right
I
now.
can talk about CDFIs with a little bit of knowledge here. So Piedmont Housing Alliance is a CDFI. So what a CDFI is basically that institution or that organization is the one where the money's going to funnel through before it gets to BOA. On that end of it. So it's come from the feds to a CDFI to BOA. And the reason I know a little bit about this, the land trust, we're actually trying to create our own low interest first time home buyer fund, right? An actual deed of trust, a loan product run through the CDFI, which you're going to have to go ahead and do this. So I feel a little bit better about it.
Dan Pettit, how long will this added money last, though?
Yeah.
That's what he says, which is a very good question. Philip in Scottsville has given Judah Wickower some significant props. He says, Judah took the words right out of my mouth. So many are so uneducated and don't understand the economics of this.
Yeah. So in order to get money through a CDFI, by the way, you need to attend a first-time homebuyer seminar. You have to go through that particular process, which is pretty simple, but they at least have that explanation through it. Plus, every one of the real estate agents on that, and I truly mean this, they want the best interest for their client. And if it's something that they're going to overextend themselves,
We just went through a 2-year period of time where people were bringing tens of thousands of dollars
but that wasn't this buyer, though.
to the closing table
But
to
that
buy
was-
homes and not doing home inspections or appraisals on houses. They were buying houses sight unseen.
I know.
Sight unseen.
And then I got a phone call and say, how come I got a problem?
70% of the people regret their
But
purchase during COVID.
how are you connecting that with this program?
My
Because I'm
point-
losing you.
The point is, deal makers want to make deals.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Sure.
Do you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, deal makers want to make deals.
Okay, I'm a deal maker. I love to make deals. But I'm also going to look Jerry Miller and Mrs. Miller in the face and say, this is not the right thing for you to do. I'm okay with that, right? Because I'd rather have you buy the right home at the right time than buy the wrong home at the wrong time. Because I said earlier, Mrs. Miller's going to come beat me up if it was something like that. So I'm trying to connect the two. So what you're saying is that we're going to do what we need to do to make a deal happen to take care of ourselves? Is that what you're saying?
Look at what's happening. The biggest bank in America is rolling out a loan program.
I get all that.
That is targeting subprime clients.
I get it. I got that.
But once that subprime client has a loan and financing, they're going to take that financing to someone that's going to help them buy a house.
Good.
And you and Yonna and Yes Realty Partners are people of tremendous integrity. And I have no doubt in my mind that you guys would tell a client, perhaps this isn't the right deal for you. But I would bet you $1,000 there's someone else in your business, after they say no to you, after you say no to them, someone else in your business, one of your competitors is going to say, oh, I'll help you find one. Would you take that bet?
No.
Right.
But I'll sleep at night, though.
Exactly. That's because you have integrity.
I'll sleep at night.
Would you say everyone has integrity?
Unfortunately, no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah, I'm very realistic about it. But I really believe in our industry. I really believe in the folks that are in our industry. That does not mean that there's some folks in here that maybe not do the right thing. But, the real estate agents that I work with on a daily basis, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that would knowingly, and this is important, knowingly help somebody buy a house that they know they shouldn't be buying. I don't know anybody that I work with. That doesn't mean there aren't people out there, right? But I mean this wholeheartedly, Jerry. I know that, and this is why I love what we're doing.
You got viewers and listeners that are very sophisticated that are watching the program.
I got that.
Okay. We need to shoot them straight, Keith.
I'm shooting them straight.
Okay.
I'm shooting them straight. I'm literally, people that I work with on a regular basis, I believe they would do the right thing. Is there agents out there that won't? Absolutely. Absolutely. How they put their head on the pillow is a different story. I can put my head on the pillow knowing.
Yeah, because you're a man of honor and integrity.
That we did the right thing.
That's why this is the guy and the Yes Realty Partners team are the people you want to work with. They will pass on this.
Well, that's how you do this business for
37 years.
37 years.
Yeah.
That's how you.
How about the person that's trying to make their first deal happen?
Well, hopefully they're smart enough to reach out to somebody that has a little bit of gray hair in their head and say, help me through this. What should I do?
How about the agent that came into this business within the last 18 months?
Well, I would grow that to probably 2.5 years.
30 months.
I would say 2.5 to 3 years. 100% right. I've said this on the show a couple of times before. I am so excited about the market going forward for us because this is what we're built for. Right? We're built for education. We're built for helping folks get through this stuff. We can say, you know what, this isn't the right time for you, Jerry, right? And I can say that with confidence and say, okay, not a problem. And if you want to hire Judah to help you sell a house, buy a house, good luck.
Jason Howard, Jerry, you mentioned an electrician not
and I'm
wanting
being
to,
honest.
Oh, I know
you know
are.
I am.
I have no doubt you're being honest. I just think that you're incredibly underestimating the folks in the industry who would undoubtedly pursue this business. I know you wouldn't, but folks would.
Yeah, so,
Because I'm a realist and a man of common sense.
There's 1,000 real estate agents.
1,400.
Actually, 1,400 of them are like Woody, Fincham, right? They're associates. So there's 1,000 actual agents on it. I'm sure there's a percentage of them that would not do the right thing.
Right. Jason Howard, Jerry, you mentioned...
That would be unrealistic to believe that.
Right.
Pollyannic.
Jerry, you mentioned, this is from Jason Howard, you mentioned on a King Arroyo, you mentioned an electrician not wanting to come out to your building for 3 hours of work. That's true. We needed electrical work done. I called an electrician. I said, I need this done. He should take between 2 or 3 hours. We had this done before COVID. I know how long this is going to take. The guy literally said to me, I'm not coming to your job. I'm not coming to do this project for 3 hours. It's not worth my time. And Jason Howard continues.
It cost him more money to show up than...
He's got more business than he can do.
That's an interest...
Here's the rest of his comment for you. The trades are a seller's market. So if you get one of these 0% down mortgages and need to have repairs, is shopping around for a lower cost even an option? Or are you calling around and hoping to find a contractor with time to come and see you and just have to take the first one? Yeah. Unfortunately, right now, that's the case.
So to wrap up what I was saying earlier, this is how your integrity, your ethics is how you recover from losing $17 million and have people still want to talk to you and work with you. That's where that comes into place. I know a little bit about what we're talking about right now because I built 600 homes. I understand working with contractors, subcontractors, intimately on that end of it. And it's interesting, right? So that guy that you called that said, hey, I don't have the time for you. When this market changes a little, because it will, the market will change.
He wouldn't be my first call.
You would never pick the phone up and call him right away. Yeah. Clearly he didn't realize, I don't mean this to say he doesn't know who you are, right? But he didn't take the moment to think, okay, well, this guy owns so many units in this building.
He knew.
Right? Well,
he knew. He didn't even care.
Right. So that was just bad.
Short-sighted, we call it.
Bad business move. Bad relational move. The answer should have been, Jerry, I'm a little swamped. Hey, can I get in there Sunday afternoon? Right? Or can I get in there late at night or something like this? Can I go ahead and do something? Because at some point, he's going to need you. And you're not going to, and the guy who ever helped you out is the guy who you're going to call next time.
That's right. That's exactly right. Woody Fincham says, correction, he's not an associate. He's a realtor. He just doesn't sell real estate.
I apologize, Woody.
So he wanted you that. He
Look
also
at that.
said
Smith's batting 1,000 today.
He
Thank
also
God
says,
I'm
I
going up.
agree with Keefe, a lot of honorable and ethical agents out there, but I do know a few that are not.
Yeah. I was trying to take the high road, but it would be Pollyannic and unrealistic to expect.
And the viewers and listeners know that.
Yeah.
They're too smart for us to be
and I'm not trying to insinuate that they're not, right, at all. I'm just saying the agents that I work with are reputable. We'll get myself into more trouble here, right? Price, location, right? We talk about this all the time, right? Location, price, features, condition, and timing. And you know what the sixth one is that I just never talk about?
Tell us.
Who's on the other side? Who's on the other side? Is Jerry on the other side? Or is somebody else that falls into this category that Woody is just done? And that will determine if this deal is going to happen or not. So I don't talk about it that much, but it's a real thing.
Grayson watching the program. Jerry, I was watching Bloomberg News and the Bank of America story came up on Bloomberg this morning, and the talking heads on screen were discussing how the other banks are rolling out similar programs now.
It's coming, yeah.
You hear that, Judah? It's coming, dude.
Yep.
Spreading like wildfire. You know what this reminds me of, Judah? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
And do we just say, Judah, Darwinism?
I don't know about Darwinism.
Is it just Darwinism, survival of the fittest? Is that just what it is?
I think it's...
People don't learn from history.
I think it's worse.
What's our role?
I think it's worse than that. I mean, if it was just some people making mistakes, then yeah, that would be sad. But if it's corporations and our government actively trying to pawn the same thing off on us that they did with the mortgage-backed securities in 2008.
So Charlottesville and Albemarle, let's pick a number. 250 is affordable?
$250,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to find anything for $250. 7 homes
in Albemarle.
In Albemarle County.
That's detached.
And let's talk about the condition of those 7.
Oh, I haven't even opened it up because there's no sense in looking at it.
Are those 7 inhabitable? Are they inhabitable right now? $250,000.
Also, who are they affordable for?
Explain that, Judah.
Yeah. So
You're saying 250
so
is that affordable? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying 250 is a lot of money. I don't know.
I'm back ending it to what an average rent would be going for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right? So I'm just quick math.
3-bedroom, 2-bath average rent, we'll call it $2,000.
Yeah. So roughly 225 to 250 is pretty much where you're at right now for your mortgage, your PI and TI, interest and taxes and insurance it may change that
Interesting
a little bit.
low.
I'm doing it just quick in my head.
Bank of America program has no PMI.
Yeah.
No PMI in the
That's
Bank of
'cause
America
you know
program.
why? It's federally backed. It's
Yeah.
federal. It's our money. It's the federal money.
Well, also, if the PMI was included, they wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah. So there's two sides to this particular. Judah brings up a point, and literally the word I'm getting is on this housing affordability that I did around the country on it. I hate the word affordable housing. And the reason I despise it is it means different things to different people. What does it mean to you, Judah? Do you have a definition for affordable housing?
I mean, I don't know that I have a definition, but
I got a definition for affordable housing.
But I've got.
Go ahead.
I think I have a price.
I got a definition
in
for
mind.
affordable housing. Your monthly housing payment is 1/3 your total take-home pay.
And guess what the average is?
50%?
There you go.
It's probably higher in Charlottesville and Almar.
It's about between 50 and 60%.
Yeah, it's higher in Charlottesville
And
and
that's a
Almar.
floored number.
We live in one of the most expensive.
But that's the problem here. There is no definition for it, right? If you look at the HUD site, it's 80% of area median income. Okay, well look, area median income is defined as $100 and some odd $1,000. Is that really what the area median income is? If you compare that to Flavanna and Green, I don't think so. On that end of it, then certain folks will say it's 30%. Okay, is it 30% your PITI? But hey, what about your
Utilities, your water,
all that kind
HOA,
of
maintenance.
maintenance, all that stuff, and is that not included into it? So it's such an that's the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Unambiguous. Is that the right answer? I have no idea what I'm saying. It's a term that doesn't have any teeth to it.
Vague.
Thank you. Vague. It hasn't. That's the reason I switched in every meeting that I'm in to housing affordability, because it means different things to different people. But look, we're putting by the end of this year 25 families that are making between 50 to 60% of the area median income in this year. So we're having some success. If it's going to live on much longer or be successful down the road is a different story.
Woody Fincham's got a comment. Woody Fincham and Associates.
He's coming on.
Woody.
Mid-month.
One of the best appraisers in Central Virginia.
And you know why that
Woody,
is?
one of the best appraisers in Central Virginia. Should I say it again?
Third
Woody
time's the
Fincham,
charm.
one of the best appraisers in Central Virginia. Banks don't really have a choice. The administration is going to push this. The Clinton administration did the same thing, and Janet Reno was there to back it up. The banks don't really care because they factor the risk into the rates that they use. So even if they have a higher default rate, they end up in a positive position because they can write off any losses, and they're making money no matter what.
So Woody,
Bingo.
So Woody,
Right, Judah?
Yeah.
So Woody just confirmed what I said
Smart
about
man.
92, 93, and 94. It was under President Clinton. It was the same exact process that happened. And Woody, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the beginning or the genesis of what happened in 2008, 2009, or 2007, depending on what year, when you think it actually started. For me, it started in 7 on that end of it. On that, so I'd love to hear Woody's feed on that. That I think that was what set up that. And if this is the case, and if Woody is right, having additional chills down my back.
Well, I have yet to see Woody wrong on this talk show.
He's never been wrong.
I've yet to see Woody wrong on this talk show. The dude doesn't make comments unless he's backing it up with facts and ammunition.
Yeah, so the two guys that are always right, and I'm not one of them, is Woody and Scott. Because there's a second thing. Freddie May predicts fixed mortgage rates will fall by 23 with a projected average of 4.5%. That's what Scott's been saying.
Yeah, Scott's been saying this
we're
all
going to do
along.
that. So, I'm again just reading some quick little articles.
Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage.
There you
Scott
go.
Mortgage Morris, Scotty Morris. of Ross Mortgage. Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro. Keith said home ownership is not for everyone. Ray Cadell said that as well. College is not for everyone. Kevin Yancey also makes this correlation. Kevin Yancey has been and I respect Kevin Yancey. He has a bearish take on what's ahead. Sure. I would say that's fair, right, Kevin Yancey? He's made the correlation to 2008, 2009, 2010, and he's alluded to 2008, 2009, 2010 with auto repossessions happening. Guess what's happening now? Auto repossessions. That's happening now.
Because they were giving out money to cars that were overpriced.
Yep.
Sounds familiar?
I mean, guys, Dan Pettit, Mustache Dan Pettit. We love you, DP. He's got a forehand that would rival that of Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal. He says this.
Did you watch that? Oh,
what's that?
Go ahead.
He says, I still would like to find out what the UVA and UVA hospital average pay is for people who work at these locations, not to include doctors and nurses' salaries. My question is is it lower than affordable housing figure and that a lot of these employers have to travel from other counties to get to work, so expensive for them? The answer is yes.
So I can't give a specific...
The answer is yes.
I can't give a specific number, but I can tell you, knowing who, Jerry, you know who I am and how I do things. So I'm going through some tests at UVA, right? And every technician or person that I talk to, I end up having a conversation with them a little. So where do you live? Where do you go? Now, this isn't a scientific research by any stretch of the imagination. But everybody I talk to, and some of the nurses too, can't afford to live here.
Oh, nurses can't afford it. Nurses have been priced out of here.
They're out of here.
Yeah.
But everybody I talk to does not live within the urban ring, which we talked about on Friday, right? With Ned and Neil, or in the city of Charlottesville, right? Now the contract nurses, they're a little bit different. They're making pretty good bank, and the
contract nurses are anomalies. They don't live in the area. They're here for 3 months. They peace out. They're nomadic.
And also, when the market changes a little bit, they're going to go away, right?
They're nomadic.
Yeah, they're going to go away.
Yeah, Woody Fincham says it absolutely contributed to it, Keith.
Yeah, that's what I wanted him. I wanted his take on it because he's way smarter than I am on this stuff. But what I understand and physically living through this, right? Because 86 is, 87 is when I opened the company. 86 is when I came here. I lived through it and I've seen it happen on that end of it.
Woody Fincham, let me ask you a question. What do you think the delta is with these loans, the subprime customer loans BOA is going to originate? What do you think that delta is going to be versus someone with a 30-year fix with good credit? My question is this: the 30-year fixed that puts a 20% down payment down, their interest rate, we'll call it what, 5.6, 5.7 on a 30 fix right now?
It's probably closer to 6.
Call it 6%. Woody Fincham, what do you think the interest rate is going to be on the subprime customers with no money down and no credit or bad credit? What do you think the delta with the rate is? 1 point, 2 points? What do you think the difference is going to be? I'm very curious of your take. Ray Cadell jumps in here. Ray Cadell and Associates. I have some travel nurse tenants, plus I met many the last few weeks at Martha Jefferson Hospital in rehab for my mom who had a stroke. Ray Cadell, tell us what you make of this topic, please, my friend. Keith Smith, jump in here.
Yeah, so a question for Woody. I'm going to read again from this particular article. Adjustable rate loans accounted for more than 12% of the mortgage applications in June and July, the largest share since 2007. That year seems to ring a bell here, and double the percentage of January 22. This is according to Zillow data. Woody, are you seeing, when you're doing appraisals, are you seeing the uptick on 15-year or something other than 30-year mortgages? So just curious if he's seeing some uptick in the local area on that. So that's a national number, but you're a huge proponent of 15-year. I have not been.
Well, I mean, we had this conversation with the Erpies on your show.
Yeah.
Okay, I did the 15.
Yep.
The 15 mortgage.
And then you pay a little extra.
And I'm overpaying it.
Yeah.
And the conversation was that or throwing the money into the markets.
Yeah.
Look at the markets.
Yep. No, I don't want to.
Look at the market.
I don't want to.
Look at the mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Look at my house. Look at the equity.
Yeah.
That's why I do it.
Yeah. Well,
Because you know why? Because I can control it.
well, you can control the same thing on a 30-year. You just make extra payments,
Well,
right?
when I overthrow it, I see the immediate equity.
Yeah. So
When I put it in the market,
you don't. Well, that's always the long haul, right? But yeah, so we do the same thing. I believe in 30 years. Mortgages, I guess maybe it's because it's what I grew up around and what we're used to on it. Also, historically, the interest delta between the 30-year and the 15 has not been as close as it is now, right? So it used to be substantially higher for the 15 over the 30-year, but we make 2 or 3 extra payments a year, and we kind of lower it down to, like, I think it's 16 to 18-year mortgage.
you make one extra payment a year, you're probably looking at a 30 going to 18 to 19.
So I do 3 a year.
Yeah, it's nice. Ray Cadell says, I predict buy downs. They are already here.
Yeah.
And if it gets any worse, graduated payment mortgages.
Yep.
Dude, you got the pros on the feed.
Oh yeah.
Nervous as hell.
Well, there's and actually this is an invitation out to my good friend Ray Cadell. This is a scenario where you're getting lessons from legends. He qualifies as a legend for sure.
Oh, no doubt, he's a legend.
On that end of it, and things that we've all seen before, when they start creeping themselves back into it again. Back in November and December, you asked me what my biggest concern was. It wasn't this. It was inflation. This is now this, right? If we are really starting to change the way the lending environment goes, we were always talking about, but lending restrictions are tight, right? That's what's keeping the system healthy. If this really becomes a trend, and we're going to track it, right? If this becomes a trend, that sounds very reminiscent.
Kevin Yancey says, prior to 2007, had anyone heard of an ARM? Adjustable rate mortgage?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't as mainstream.
It wasn't mainstream, but I heard of it.
It became mainstream in 2008.
I believe I count as an anybody, but I may be wrong. But
I mean, you're in the business.
Yeah.
The average Joe hadn't heard of an ARM.
Yeah, I can't speak to that, but he may be right.
Let's do this. I'm really curious of what Fincham thinks is going to be the delta with that rate. Ooh, he's in. Woody Fincham, one of the best appraisers around. I imagine it will be higher. And he's talking about the interest rate, Judah, of the subprime customers versus the prime customers.
Oh, yeah.
The one question I have is whether the government is guaranteeing or insuring the loan, which would likely reduce the delta somewhat. The program BOA has announced seems awfully close to what the NACA program provides. I wonder if they are rebranding it. Judah, you're reading something over there. I see the wheels turning. Anytime you want to jump in with what you're reading, just give us a little hand wave, because you contribute to the program often and significantly and well. Keith Smith, anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, so my question for Woody would be, what do you think the regulatory requirements are going to be on that, right? Look, I explained to somebody once, and I think I may have done this on the show, what happened prior to 2007 to 2008. And it started, as Woody confirmed for me, back in the Clinton administration. And what they did is and we're back here again, there's a cookie jar, right? And they've opened up the top of the cookie jar, whoever they are, and they have said, okay, you can start taking some cookies out, right? And then all of a sudden, the regulators started backing off a little bit, and Woody, I think, had confirmed this, backed off a little bit, and then, to your point, it got too easy. BOA did it. Wells Fargo did it. Whatever these banks were, all of a sudden they started pulling cookies out, and then all of a sudden there was no cookies left. Then the regulators do what they normally do, the federal government normally does. They close the top. Then if you were the good Lord himself, you were not going to be able to get any money. And now what's happening is cookie jar's filled up again. It feels like it anyway. They pop the top open again, and the regulators and the government is saying, okay, if you fit a certain box, we'll let you take cookies out. And then all of a sudden the regulators are going to not be watching it, and then we are going to end up back, and I hate to even say this, we're going to end up back into where we were. So my hope and my prayer is that the regulatory environment kind of controls us a little bit. I love Woody's read on what I just said, and anybody else who
Woody
wants to
Fincham,
chime
jump in here. Neil Williamson, jump in here. Grayson, jump in here. We got 8 states on the feed right now.
Man,
Ray Cadell makes this point.
It feels-
Ray Cadell's a good one. Buying and selling will still happen regardless of the condition. People will always need to buy or sell a house.
Absolutely, and I don't think any of us are saying that. So we want to get that out there because we can. And again, this particular program right now is not.
The feed is on fire.
It is not set up for us, right? It's not in our region, right? But yeah. But look, like I said, to Ray's point, last 7 days, car footprint, 79 units sold. Last 7 days. The first week of July, 92 sold. So we're decreasing our sales, the volume of sales on that end of it. Pendings, which is interesting, in the first week of July was 64. The pendings right now are 94. By the way, we have new, first week of July was 89 units. In this last 7 days, it was also 89, which is an interesting number. It's on par. Price changes are about the same, 61 versus 62, 62 2 months ago.
Those are price reductions.
Correct. These are all price reductions.
Yeah.
You could take a deep dive into it, but they are. 2 years ago, they were the opposite direction.
Tammy, yeah, right. Tammy Wilt makes a good point. It's easier to pull money from your investments or your equities account than your home, depending on what your situation is, if the what hits the fan.
So Tammy,
that is a good point, Tammy.
So Tammy, please, you're an expert, right?
What's Tammy do?
Tammy is a loan officer.
Hey, what's up, Tammy? We love loan officers.
She's
here.
a rock star of a loan officer.
Atlantic Bay, what's up, Tammy?
So tell me your read on the BOA.
Yeah, Tammy Wilt. Seriously, Tammy. You're in the game.
She's been in the game enough to know what it was like before the time of great unpleasantness.
Tammy, what do you make of the Bank of America lending program? Tammy,
for our
what
marketplace.
do you make that Rocket Mortgage is now rolling out a similar program that Bank of America is doing?
It's a little different, but close enough. It's a little different, but close enough.
What do you make of this, Tammy Wilt? Don't hold back.
So what they're doing, the Rocket.
Straight talk, Tammy.
The Rocket, which I'm trying to listen to you and think at the same time and read. I know. It's impossible.
That's what I do every day.
You're much better at it than I am. I don't see in the BOA that they're waiving appraisals. In the Rocket, they're waiving appraisals. Which, again, I'm reading it quickly, right? So we have to dig a little deeper into it. And that's shuddering a little bit because that's...
Understatement.
Because that is
way worse.
Yeah.
Explain why that's way worse.
Well, Woody needs to explain it's way worse because Woody is a genius at this end of it. But if they're waiving appraisals on that end of it, which if this is federal money, I just find it hard to believe that they're going to be able to waive money. But, again, we don't know what the regulatory requirements. When I say the back end of it, that's what I'm talking about. Talking about it and announcing it and putting it out in the public is one thing. How it actually is going to work is something else on that end of it. That'll come on a little bit, but I'm reading it as we're talking right now.
She said, please proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Please proceed with caution.
So that goes back.
She says waiving appraisals is a terrible idea.
Oh, without doubt.
Not good.
Again, I don't think back in the time of great unpleasantness, they didn't waive them, but they sure as hell looked the other way on some numbers. I can assure you that.
Judah Wickower, what are you reading over there? Jump in here, J-Dubs.
So I'm trying
We three-shotting it?
Yeah. I'm trying to put some things together, and I could be completely wrong, but I
don't like when you
with
that.
If I'm not mistaken, appraisals, part of what appraisals are good at doing is keeping house prices down. So if you're constantly waiving appraisals, what the houses are going for
the appraisal helps justify the loan value.
Yeah. So part of all these houses, exploding in price.
What it does is it justifies the loan amount.
That's what I just said. It justifies the loan.
Yeah.
So we've seen an explosion in home prices. How much of the buying and the skipping appraisals is being done by corporations, done by hedge funds? Obviously, real estate is a very good investment right now, or at least it was.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you a little bit. I'm just reading an article. It seems like the corporate buyer is backing down a little bit.
Well, now they are.
Yeah.
And so the...
Well,
and
you
so,
know why they are.
And so the...
rates went through the roof.
And so the issue...
And when they get tired of doing it,
And so the issue I'm seeing is that what if this is a push to get rid of all that property?
Yeah,
You've bought investment property, you've watched the price explode, now you're looking at a possible downturn to the economy, and what do you want to do? You want to get rid of those properties before they start losing price, so you find a way to pawn them off on people who are, going to be left with the bag.
so
What do you got to say about that?
yeah, I interrupted him, and I apologize for that. But that's what I was trying to get at. When they start dumping them on the market, that's going to do it. But it's interesting. So I'm looking.
What happens when they dump them on the market? What do you get?
Well,
what do you get? What happens when they dump them on the market?
You get people that need houses buying them up.
You get a glut of inventory.
Well, yes, and maybe no. Yes, it depends on the where, right? If I went into Detroit and bought 100 houses and I dumped them on the market, it's going to make a difference over here. I just literally, as you guys were talking, looked at the 79 homes that closed. Now, I can't tell without going into great detail, but I opened them up. Not a single one of them was bought by an LLC. That doesn't mean that,
Doesn't mean it's not an investor.
Doesn't mean it's not an investor, right? Right.
I would encourage all investors watching this program to please form an LLC.
Yeah.
I suggest an S corporation when
Well-
you're buying in your investment property.
Well-
Silo each investment property in its own unique LLC. Create a holding company that owns each unique S corp LLC. Do not expose yourself to rental or tenant risk, please, dear God.
And to add to that, any real estate agents that are out there, if they don't have their own LLC to do their business with, that's something for those very reasons, they should consider doing it. We've been operating under LLC since '87.
The feed is blown up. Woody Fincham says, I'm not accusing Rocket of anything, but they are getting the first. Now they're doing home equity lines of credit.
Yeah.
This is a classic example of potential churning.
Yeah.
Appraisals are collateral vetting. Can the collateral support the loan? Appraisal waivers are dangerous and not in the spirit of protecting the public trust.
Agreed.
If you have an 800 credit score and you're putting 50% down, sure, waive it in that situation, but not for a normal homeowner with little to no equity. You mentioned adjustable rates earlier. That was a good program for a small group of consumers, but not for a single mom working 2 jobs trying to make ends meet. Similar situation. Woody Fincham dropping knowledge jewels, one of the best appraisers around. Woody Fincham dropping knowledge.
I foolishly come in here thinking I can share some knowledge.
Oh, dude, you can't.
And I walk away from every show a whole bunch smarter.
We talk about this every time we do a program. When we sit in this chair in front of these cameras and this microphone and we talk, we cannot BS because we'll get called out.
Yeah.
They will straight up call us out.
I don't think any of us are BSing on the show. We're speaking from our heart and what we believe, what we truly believe in that end of it. But that was as you referred to it, a pretty awesome knowledge bomb that he dropped.
Woody Fincham and Associates. Dude, I'm not going to be able to get to these comments. This is crazy. We have 9 states on the feed. Guys, we're going to try to get to as many of these comments as possible. Tammy literally says on a different feed, this is why Woody rocks. He is spot on. So, Tammy, I'm going to tag Woody on the comment that you left so Woody can see it. Woody, I saw on your feed that you were having a so-so day yesterday. I hope today's even better for you.
Yeah.
You're getting props for viewers and listeners, my friend. If you were here, I'd give you a chest bump right here. Keith Smith, jump in.
I would actually have a sip of his bourbon first, then give him a chest bump. Yeah, so a thing for Tammy, right? We were talking earlier about ethics and how we as an industry do this. And we as an industry, if this is really going this route, if it's really going the route of appraisal waivers, if it's really going the route of where we were prior to 2007, where this cup of coffee could have got some money, I know Tammy well enough to say this, but I want her to say that. If she comes across somebody that she can squeak them into a loan product, but really feels that that's not the best for them, I am confident that she will go ahead and say, look, may not be the right time for you to do that for the very reasons we talk about it as real estate agents. I know I'm not seeing the feed, so I don't know who's on the feed, but I know the real estate agents that are watching that, the ones that you're naming out over there, if they bump into a client or meet a client that they feel that this is really not their best interest, they will go ahead and say that. And I'm curious what Tammy's take on that
Tammy,
is.
what's your take on that? Gosh, there's a lot of people. This comment, the appraiser has always been charged with first protecting the lender, not the buyer.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to say earlier. So if I am putting 20% down, and I'm oversimplifying, so I apologize, Woody, in advance. If I'm putting 20% down on it, the appraisal needs to support the loan amount. It's the bank that they're protecting. But by default, they're also protecting the buyer, right? To make sure that they are not paying over what the market value is. And a follow-up, and I can't remember the date, but Woody's coming on a couple Mondays from now. I can't remember the date.
Tammy Walt says, I have done what you said many times.
And I that was a bit of a softball to her because I know I've seen her do it. So the point is, we're about 2 minutes out before I got to split.
Man, we're not going to get to all these comments, guys.
So the partners tab, right? These are trusted advisors for a reason. These are folks that are participating in what we do every day in our industry. Lean on them, right? Lean on them to provide you with the right information on that end of it. Don't do a BOA 13-second soundbite. Listen to Jerry. Listen to what we do here and we talk about. Listen to the smart people on the feed, right? Not me. Listen to them that are going ahead and trying to share knowledge and information.
This is a great comment from Woody. President Bill Clinton's Attorney General Janet Reno threatened legal action against lenders whose racial statistics raised her suspicions. Bank loan qualification standards in general came under criticism as being too stringent regarding down payments, credit histories, and income. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, two government-sponsored enterprises, lower their standards for the kinds of mortgage paper they would purchase from banks and other mortgage lenders, and they gave financial institutions further incentive to make risky loans. In 2002, the George W. Bush administration urged Congress to enact the American Dream Down Payment Assistance Act, which subsidized down payments of homebuyers whose income was below a certain level. Bush also urged Congress to pass legislation requiring the Federal Housing Administration to make zero down payment loans at low interest rates to low-income Americans. Between 2005 and 2007, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac acquired an estimated $1 trillion worth of subprime loans and guaranteed more than $2 trillion worth of mortgages. That is larger than the gross domestic product of all but 4 nations in our world. You hear that, Judah?
So
It's nuts.
That is nuts. That is nuts. You heard that, Judah?
look at Judah putting on a cold, Judah.
That is nuts.
So that's the cookie jar that I was talking about. He just did it with stats and actual numbers, but there's a cookie jar, and they filled up that cookie jar, and they let everybody take cookies out, and people got lax, and all of a sudden there was no cookies left. And you know how much I love cookies.
This is a great way to close. I'm
good with a little extra minute or two.
Okay. It's not what you do when everyone's watching. It's what you do when no one is watching.
That is exactly right. So back to the cookie jar.
Shame on you, Bank of America. Michael Buchensky, First Heritage Mortgage.
There you go.
Watch The Big Short. We will never learn, or will we ever learn from our mistakes? The Big Short is a damn good movie. Michael Buchensky, Coach Buchensky, well said.
So I don't have to ask Michael's opinion on it because...
Oh, why don't I ask him? Michael Buchensky, what do you make of the Bank of America lending program?
There you go.
Put your thoughts on the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Keith Smith, keep talking to us, baby. We'll close in 90 seconds.
Yeah, got it. So I've just got a 2.5-hour drive, but we'll go ahead and knock this out. Look, I'm gonna, you know, to make me speechless takes something, and I'm starting to get a little speechless about this. And I'm hopeful when I sit in a room full of CEOs here this evening and folks from NAR and the lending industry that I'll hear something positive that I can share on Friday. But at the moment, I'm not feeling too positive, and I don't mean that I don't mean that to throw everybody in a panic, but this is just to Woody's articulate, detailed explanation. I expect anybody that really is interested in this to read that response on that end of it. It's much better than my cookie jar response on that end of it. But this is kind of how it started in 92, 93, 94 under Clinton. And it just feels very reminiscent.
Very concerning. Anything you want to add, J-Dubs?
No,
You
Keith's
got
got
the
to
sweater
go.
on. Good job, buddy.
Rake it out. Ready for this one, Judah?
Yeah.
This is from Rake It Out. At least one local bank that I personally know of was issuing credit cards to first-time home buyers and then allowing the first-time home buyers cash advances on their credit cards for down payments on homes.
What year was that?
This year, right now.
Okay.
Local bank, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah, Kevin.
Here's a credit card.
Kevin.
Take the credit card, take a hell of a lot of money on the credit card, at 18 to 20% interest on that money, and use that money as a down payment on a home that has interest that you have to pay on top of it.
Here's a shovel. Start digging yourself a hole.
Kill yourself.
So
Think about that, Jim.
It's
Ray Cadell, Woody Fincham,
pretty disgusting.
It's disgusting.
everybody else that's on this feed that's a professional in the industry will do the right thing and will counsel a buyer to say, please don't do that.
Yeah.
This is not in your best interest. And then they have to make the,
Isn't this common sense? Isn't this common sense? You don't take cash advances, for one thing.
But
Don't
Jerry-
take a cash advance on a credit card.
You're talking
Yeah,
about
but
if
Jerry-
you're talking about first-time home buyers,
Jerry-
there's
How
no such thing
you
as
knew-
there's no such thing as common sense.
You knew not to do that. This is
To-
common
no,
sense.
to be honest, if somebody had offered something like that, I don't know that I
Yes,
would
you
have
would
known
have.
better.
Then you would have asked me. Because when you bought the house, we talked about it. You would have asked me.
stop right there.
And I would have said, hell no, don't do that.
Stop right there. What you just said, sometimes these people don't have.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have a Jerry Miller to ask a question.
Right.
They don't have a Keith Smith to answer a question. They have some person at a bank that's saying, I'm going to give you a card, how great this is to go ahead and do that. And Ray, thank you for sharing. That is, again, just putting shivers up my spine.
Yeah.
Because have we not learned anything? Are we repeating everything that we've done before on that end of it? But
Oh, one quick correction.
Pete-
One quick correction. He said this was early 90s.
okay.
Okay, he put another comment that this
Yeah,
was early
okay.
90s. Thank God that's not right
Yeah,
now.
okay,
Thank you for
got
that
it.
correction, Ray
Got it,
Cadell.
got it.
He just put in the feed in a separate comment that this was early 90s.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Put that in a box somewhere, right? Because if we see that start happening again, this goes back to the comment that Woody made. You know, Ray's been around a while. I've been around a while. So if the banks start doing this kind of stuff again, you know, it's just really teeing up again 2007, 2008. Here.
Michael Buchensky, you cannot put $5 trillion into the economy and expect inflation to stay low. Now they are going
Yeah.
to simulate the real estate market with suspect products and start the cycle again. Economics should not be hard, but our leaders seem to find a way to mess it up time and time again. Do we give Michael Buchensky a round of applause right there for that one? I think we do.
Where's the little machine?
It's on my desk over there. It's not on the
Got
table.
it. So which $5 trillion he's talking about, right? No, this
Michael
one,
Buchensky, you're a smart guy.
this one, or the one that was in a year ago, or whatever. Look, I'm going to give you a bit of a shout out on this, Jerry, and Judah too, and maybe myself indirectly. One of the good things that we have now that we really didn't have back then is what we're doing right now, this social media thing. Social media used for the good, right, on this end of it. So hopefully we're helping folks. Hopefully we're connecting with folks that go ahead and say that, look, you know, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's kind of a duck. If it doesn't feel right, it isn't right. To your point of, you know, isn't that common sense?
I mean, this comment just came in. Normal consumers do not look at the cost of money. They only consider payment shock to their monthly budget. And the wolves prey on this because of it.
Yeah, sure. There's a movie that they made about that. Yeah, so...
Is that Dancing with Wolves, Kevin Costner? Is that the movie?
Totally it.
Dancing with
Totally it. So, look, I got to split, guys. Thank you so much. I got to hit the road. I got to make it up in D.C. by 2:30.
Keith
So
Smith's going to a Riz Media where he's going to get an award, a conference, and he's going to be sitting next to CEOs and rubbing shoulders with Lawrence Hune, the chief economist of the National Association
and
of
Lisa
Realtors.
Sturtevant.
And Dr. Lisa Sturtevant, the chief economist of Bright.
Going to be I think I'm the next table over is what if I saw the seating chart,
Well,
right?
you sit down next to Lawrence Hune, take a selfie with him. We'll get it on the show on Friday, and ask him his take on this BOA lending program, please.
I will try.
Please.
I will do that. If you don't think I'm going to try to do that. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I was named one of the top 30 trendsetters in the country, and every time I tell my daughters that, they laugh. Trendsetter, haha.
You're a trendsetter?
Yeah.
We got people walking into the studio right now, unannounced.
Well, that's a good note to wrap up then.
I think he's an hour early there, Judah. All right, thank you kindly for joining us on the talk show. That was way early. Wow, today's show is red hot. Judah Wickower, Keith Smith, Jerry Miller, 9 states watching the program today on the I Love CVille Network. Real Talk presented by Yes Realty Partners. This show is in fuego, an audience that dwarfs the TV stations on this network. And
I want to give a shout out to the viewers and the listeners. Thank you for making me smarter and better at what I do every day.
Oh, absolutely. Undoubtedly.
Thank you.
I feel the same. Judah, you crushed it today, per usual. The I Love CVille show is up in 12:30, which is in 50 minutes. And in 50 minutes, we're going to have 2 folks from the city of Charlottesville who are on the other side, the opposite side of the livable Charlottesville group. Ooh. And these 2 folks are homeowners, and they're leading a charge of homeowners in the city of Charlottesville that are opposed to the upzoning plans that are in this community. The show is going to be dynamic. Oh,
man.
Absolutely dynamic.
I'm going to have to listen to that driving up.
Realtors on the feed right now. Get ready for 12:30. It's going to be a special.
I won't be able to chime in.
So long, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Good job. Bill, you're a little early.